So I've never looked at a WIP report myself, right? What, it doesn't sound too complicated, but it also sounds kind of mysterious. So kind of give me an example, and we'll put one in the show notes. We'll grab one from online and put in there for people to look at if they haven't seen one. What's a good WIP report look like? What are the numbers you're going to be tracking and seeing? Is it custom? Is it fairly straightforward and standard? Kind of give me the rundown of that.
Sure. A basic WIP report. A lot of firms will do it even in Excel if they have to. A good software system will produce that based on the inputs into the system. But a lot of contractors, especially on the smaller end, they don't have the resources to produce, to invest in that level of a system. But in its simplest form, you have on the left side rows, you have your jobs. So you have each job listed on the left side, stacked. And then across the top on the columns, you have, you start with what's our total contract value? What's the revenue we're expecting on this job as a whole? So if it's $1 million job, we're expecting $1 million in this revenue. And then the next line would be, what's our expected cost to incurred to complete this job? So let's say it's 800,000. We're expecting a 20% margin on this job. Let's say, and so then you minus the 2, and you can see your estimated profit. And then, so that's the starting point. From there, then as the job starts, you're tracking your cost to date. And that's why it's so important to be looking at this on a weekly basis versus a monthly basis, depending on how fast the jobs are going. In some cases, need to be looking at this on a daily basis, depending on the type of job that you're incurring. And so you're tracking, and next to that, the total cost to date. So let's say the job's going to be a 10-month process. You're 2 months in, and you're tracking your costs at that point. Now, at that point, you can say, okay, based on the job costs, if we're continuing to be on budget, we can understand. Based on the job costs, let's say it's a $800,000 cost, and we've incurred $200,000 in the total job cost of $800. We've incurred $200. We're about 25% done with the job, assuming that we're still on track, and we feel we're still on track. So now you can understand that based on the profits that we estimated that we were going to make, we can calculate what our profits were, and we can also calculate what our revenue should be at that point in time too. And that is what you see on the far right side of the WIP report: is your cost to date, the profit you've earned to date, your percentage completion, and then you're also tracking how much you've billed for the job, and if you've billed more than what you've incurred, or if you are behind and you've incurred costs in excess of what you billed as well. And that basically covers the entire WIP report. And that's why it's so powerful, because you can see what the job should be, what your profit margin should be, and you can see where you are at any point in time. And then you also can see where your billings are on the engagement.
Really, the idea of tracking costs sounds pretty daunting. So you're tracking your payroll, and you're allocating, if you got 5 jobs going, this crew, these guys were at this job, and you're managing that. Somebody is saying this labor went to this job.
That's right.
Correct?
Yeah. So that's the other challenging part, is less sophisticated, smaller firms or contractors or construction firms. It can be more challenging to track time and labor and where the team is to appropriately allocate those costs to specific jobs. So it's important to develop a process to be able to do that. And when you have people that are out in the field, probably less sophisticated than you are, that can be challenging sometimes to get, sometimes you feel like you're herding cats a little bit, but having a good process in place is critical to be able to get that information.
Yeah. A couple of things that I've seen it inside of Buildertrend. I personally have never helped anybody set it up in Buildertrend, popular project management software for construction companies. I know it integrates directly with QuickBooks. And so If you are a listener and you're using Buildertrend and you're doing works in progress through Buildertrend with your integration in QuickBooks, we'd love to hear from you and see more and learn more about
Yep.
that. I've also heard about, in kind of doing some research for this episode, Notify. I have no idea if it's quality. They talk a big game and have great testimonials on their website and videos of electricians and stuff talking about things, but they integrate directly with QuickBooks as well and give you kind of a dashboard view and WIP reports. And it, for listeners that don't understand how much these things cost, separate from your QuickBooks subscriptions that you pay, Notify, it looks like is around $200 a month roughly, which seems reasonable if you're going to be given really good WIP reports. And then Buildertrend, the pricing varies, but I know that you can get in for as little as $100. I'm not sure if that includes the WIP reports, but I think on the high end, you're looking at 300-400. I know Buildertrend also gives you a lot more information than just a WIP report. You can actually manage your entire projects, pay your subs, all that kind of stuff through Buildertrend. A little bit of a hard user interface to work with, but it works. So moving on from there, I think the WIP reports is great. Dashboard view of exactly what you are looking at on a job and what's real, not just what's in your head, not just what you think is happening or you're assuming is happening, but it's your scorecard on that project.